Okay, in this video, I'm going to be getting together some of the stuff that I like to carry for my camping trips or to have in my bug out bag, or if you have a pocket on your bulletproof vest. I think these are things that are just good to have with you. If you're in the woods, anything to help you start a fire is a plus. All this stuff here is cheap and easy to make, except for these are store-bought, but we'll start with that. These were a gift. Really nice waterproof container. UCO Titan. I don't know what they cost. It was kind of a stocking stuffer in one of the gifts I got for Christmas, but they are really nice. These definitely, great item to have. Waterproof. They have the long burning phosphorus, I guess it is, but it burns really hot the entire time. Good item to have. It comes with a striker and an extra striker. It's somewhere in here. I've seen it right there. It is. In that bag is another striker, I guess, in case this one wears out. Good item to have, but if you're, I'm sure it's probably at least $15 or more. I don't want to quote a price. I didn't purchase it, but the nice item to have. Definitely have some type of way to start a fire, whether you carry a lighter or matches or rely on a magnifying glass or rubbing sticks together, or whatever you do, you should know how to light some type of fire while you're out in the woods. A fast way would be some of this steel wool, and this is used. It doesn't have to be new. It wasn't used to wash dishes or anything. A lady that we were working on her house, every hole and crack in her house, she had one of these stuffed in there, and I asked her why, and she said it keeps mice away. But what we did was fix and patch all the holes, and you don't need this anymore. I don't know if this actually keeps mice away or not, but that's what she claims. But with steel wool, all you need is a 9-volt battery. The easy to carry, both are lightweight. I'm just going to use an old plate here. With this stuff, it doesn't take a lot. All you need is just to pull a little bit off. Kind of get it spread out and thin. And then what you would normally do would be put it down, get your small tinder, put on top of there, and then all you got to do is touch the battery to this. It'll catch that metal on fire. Hang on a second, it'll take off. So then you put your tinder on there, and that'll get your fire going. Great thing to have. It's cheap. You can carry a lot of it. It's not going to add a bunch of weight to your gear. This one is nowhere near full charge. It was in a smoke detector, and it had already been heavily used. So it doesn't take a lot of juice to get this fire going. And normally it'll burn it all the way through, but very easy. All you got to do is touch it, put the tinder on, get your fire. As long as your tinder and everything's dry and everything's working for you. One option to have in your bag for a quick, easy fire starter. Now with another thing, these little cans. My buddy does this stuff, and he had quite a bit of them, and I asked him for a few, and he gave me like 10 of these cans. Well, I originally got it for making char cloth. I was just going to poke a hole in it, put some cloth in there, put it on some coals, get it to where it's char cloth, and then carry one of these full of char cloth in my bag, and then you can just hit it with your ferro rod or whatever you have. But today, what we're going to do with it is, I've done this before with Altoid cans. I just now started using these because you can't find Altoid cans. But all you need is some sawdust. It can be any kind, as long as it's dry. You don't want to chippings from a chainsaw just cut down a green tree. But this was from the same house that we were working on. I had to change all of her closet doors and bedroom doors, and I had to cut the bottoms off of them to the size that she needed, so I just collected all the dust for this purpose here. But another easy way, just Get you a nice little bit of sawdust in there. Let me do it here so I don't make a mess. And what I like to do is I just get a little bit in there first, enough to cover the bottom at least. Then I normally have a pot to do this so I can do more at a time, but if you use one of those tart warmers, the wax tart warmer, I save all my old wax. Once the smell is gone from it, I just save all the old stuff and then use it for this. But I put sawdust in there. Let me see if I can get it over without spilling. Didn't use my pot, so I might have to actually use the tart warmer. But take your wax, pour it in there. It'll fizz up a little bit. It'll soak in all that sawdust. Okay, well that's semi-drying. I like to put another layer right on top. And I do it in a couple layers because when you're done, you may not need a whole square. It'll break down and you can get a smaller piece and it'll still do what you need it to do. I'm gonna have a big mess in here when it's over. Spread it out. Repeat the process. Pour some more wax on. It's a little slower today, but with this not having my pot, it must be stored away downstairs. The end game for this, I do this in 3 layers, and what you're going to come up with is this by the end. So after it hardens up, I take my knife, I cut it into a few squares, and by doing it in layers, I don't have to pull the whole chunk out. I can if I want, but I can take it in sections. So now you have this small chunk of wax and sawdust, and I didn't bring a lighter. 1 second. All right. Well, normally you would have like a Bic or maybe even matches or something like that, but any flame is going to do. You'll take your little chunk here and use this one here. Like once it gets going, these burn for a long time. So you can get that down, lay it where you're starting your fire, start putting your tinder on. Each piece will burn for a good while. The wax helps it slow down. The sawdust from the doors burns great. You can use any kind of wood chips as long as it's dry. Find some bark, crumble up some bark real fine, mix it with that. The wax, as long as it's dry and it'll burn, it'll work with this. But just another thing you could do with your old wax, instead of just throwing it out, you can, there's 2 more layers right here. So I could do this 3 times per square, or if you want, you can pull the whole square out of there and lay it down and it'll burn longer. You may would need to do that if you're not in the driest of conditions, but it definitely works. Another lightweight option. This is a good container to do it in. Throw it in your bag. You always have these little fire starters in your kit. Good thing to have. Now, if you don't go this route right here, which these are nice, I'm not knocking these at all, but if you're doing a little cheaper, you can just take your matches. And I'm not saying to use these. These are harder to use because they're flimsy, but this is just the first pack of matches I found. When I do this, I like to use the kind of in the box that are on sticks and not paper. But you take your matches, take each one individually, dunk them in wax, and then cut your strip out, put it in there with them. So then you'll have one of these containers full of wax dipped matches, and then you have waterproof matches. This one here has already been dipped. I'll try to get it to work, but these paper ones, a little too flimsy. But I mean, if you have grind some of that wax off, get back down to the match. Probably not gonna work with these paper ones, but if you have some good matches, this works great. Yeah, it's not gonna do it with these paper ones, but not strong enough. They just keep breaking on you. Yeah, anyway, it does definitely work if you have some better matches. they work great. Now these here, I should have looked up the price. These here, now they burn hot and burn for a pretty good while, much more than your standard match. But they burn extra hot like that the entire time, or at least, you know, down to the end of the phosphorus here. Pretty good matches. Definitely got some decent burn time to them and fizzle out. I don't know how long that was, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that. But the definitely a good thing to have. Maybe they're cheaper than I'm thinking. I don't know, but in a nicer case, and definitely upgraded matches. I'm sure they're at least $10, $15, maybe $20. I don't know. But if you get better matches, not these paper things here, the wax dipping is a very good option. They always work. It waterproofs them and not very heavy for your gear. But my favorite thing is doing the sawdust and wax because it works. It burns long enough that it helps aid in getting your fire going, and it's all product it's free. It's hard to beat free. All you have in it is a little bit of time of melting wax and find the need. Maybe you do this snus, you'll have access to these cans. But just for some easy fire starters, there's a few options. Maybe you've done this before, maybe you haven't. I wish that would have worked. These were just some cheap matches that come in MREs. I thought it said something there. I did a couple before the video and they did work, and of course the one I do on video is not going to work. But buy the kind with the hard sticks, dip them in wax, you got you some good fire or waterproof matches. So there's a few options you may want to add into your arsenal and have you some fire starters. Thanks for watching.